It's a couple of weeks ago, I think, there was a protest led by Enough is Enough Nigeria and a lot of other youth groups to the National Assembly with the hashtag on social media, Our NAS. It was in protest of the jumbo package which our legislators receive in form of salaries and benefits and allowances and all of that. And I have people here with me to discuss all of that and to see whether we're making too much noise about nothing, or if the noise is actually warranted. I have here Joachim Makebong, social commentator. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Nice to be here.
Jude Egbas, brand consultant.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And Oluseun Onigbinde, Budget's lead partner.
Thank you.
My upper partner.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke. We'll get back to that later. Now, Joachim, a lot of us who were in Abuja did follow what happened on social media, and there was a lot of back and forth with senators and those who went to protest. What did you really get from that protest that happened, I think, 2 weeks ago?
Well, I think that it's time our legislators, particularly the federal legislators, realize that we are shifting focus away from every time focusing on the president to focusing on what they are supposed to do. You know, in any democracy with the whole three arms of government, everybody's supposed to play their role to help any nation move forward. The legislature is not really helping us to move Nigeria forward, and as such, based on what they appropriate to themselves, we need to begin to ask what they are doing with it. We need to ask whether they're delivering value for money. We need to ask whether they should be getting that much. Based on what the average Nigerian gets. So I think that it was something that was necessary to make them realize that we are asking more and more questions, and that the questions are not going to stop. They are only going to increase. The frequency of these questions are going to increase, and that they'll have to begin to come up with answers soon.
Jude, something that I know got a lot of people very angry, sort of, from that protest was a quote attributed to Eni Naya Baribe, I think it's the senator, who said something along the lines of, the National Assembly only receives 3% of the budget, so go and find your monies in the last 97%. What do you think when you hear statements like that?
The first time I heard it, because I wasn't in Abuja, I was in Lagos. When I heard the statement, I thought it was ridiculous for him to have said that, because we are bringing the light, first of all, on the legislature, because they are supposed to be the representatives of the people, in quotes, okay? So they have to begin to, there has to be some accountability first from the legislature before we get to the executive. So when he said that, I was looking at it like he was trying to, it was begging the question for him to have said that, because 150 billion naira, in a year, for you think that they go to carry bricks in the assembly, in the National Assembly. So I think looking at it, but I think he did also promise that he will accede to a debate, and I hope he wasn't saying it.
Information.
Yeah, I hope he wasn't saying it in the heat of the moment, and that come second week of November, is it November, October? We will ask questions again, and our NAS is not going to end. It's an ongoing process, and we intend to keep asking questions of our own legislators, our own representatives in the National Assembly.
Now, sure, you deal with a lot of figures. Budget is getting very popular. I have become a huge fan. I go there to just weep at the sort of figures I see. Now, we hear things around the lines of, with the senators in America, I think it's about 174,000 they earn per annum. In the UK, about 65 or thereabout. What are the true figures for a Nigerian senator, for example, for those who don't know, who are wondering why there's a lot of noise about it?
Yeah, there are no official figures for you to know how much a senator or a House of Rep member earns. There is a figure by the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, which shows that the president, every political office holder, this is the amount supposed to earn. And by that, if we're going to follow that, the senator should earn more than 1.5 million naira a month, and an House of Rep member may earn 900,000 naira a month. So even if you look at the history of allocation to the National Assembly, the entire wage bill of the senators doesn't go more than 6 billion naira a year. The problem in where the money is in the overhead cost. And that's why you find low allowances. So as a senator, you get low allowances, constituency allowance, hardship allowance. There's what you even get as your motor vehicle allowance, personal assistant allowance, the one you're using to maintain your constituency office. So it is in that package where you have over 100 billion of allowances or overhead cost or running cost of the National Assembly. And the rest is the capital project, which is just a sprinkle. But immediately the National Assembly became what you call a statutory organization, a statutory transfer organization, meaning you don't wait on the executive to get your fund. The National Assembly, because you want to respect their independence, you want to respect them that, you don't want the funds to be subject to the dictates of the president, so you allow them to draw their budget lines different from what the executive does. And that's respected, that's global practice, for you to ensure that independence stays. And since then, you don't have a breakdown of the National Assembly budget anymore. So it just goes into like 150 billion naira a year, and nobody knows what goes on, how it's broken down. Nobody knows what is even anything. As in, so for you to make a categorical statement and say this is how much Senator earns or how much House of Representatives, very, very dead wrong.
We didn't have like a rough estimate, for example.
Okay, there was a time the Bankole saga came up, and there was this talk about that a senator takes 27 million naira per home quarterly. Quarterly. There's some quarterly payment, 27 million. There's some monthly payments of 14 million naira. It was just figures being thrown up and down. But I think the question has to come on, and that's the way this whole campaign even starts. It's not even first question about the size of the money. The size of the money is outrageous, if you have to look at in clear context of where we have as a GDP, where we have as people. Because if Ayanira Abaribe says it's 3%, you want to wonder, the 97% you look at, there's a salary of teachers there, the salary of doctors, the salary of the policemen, the salary of the defense personnel. So that's even the biggest chunk of almost 30% of the Nigerian budget. There's payments of debt in there. There's even the payment for the judiciary. There's the capital investment for the entire nation there. So when you say that is what the executive gets, it's so simplistic. What the executive gets is what maybe you could say the presidency gets, which is 37 billion naira per year. So the question should come up for us and say, let's even start tracking this on the transparency mechanism. What is the breakdown of 150 billion naira?